And we are live.
Are we?
Hi, everybody. We are, officially. So how are we doing today?
Not too bad. Not as tired as I usually am.
Functional. I'll say that.
That's a good answer. Functional is probably appropriate. I'm right there with you guys.
Not, putting out the capacity that I'm functioning at, but it's passable.
You're responsive. That's all that matters. We think.
We'll find out.
We'll see as the stream goes on.
We will, yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 15th episode of Behold Lore. I am your host, Zora from 23, and I'm here by our lore masters, Rhojinquest and HBFox. And today, we discuss something pretty fun. It's reoccurring NPCs, important NPCs we have seen across several campaigns, or reoccurring in a single campaign that to keep popping up every so often. We want to know the significance behind them. Some of you may recognize some of the ones we'll talk about, such as Bimmy, amongst a few others. Some actually brand new that I'm even learning about, since they seem to be popping up more and more in Tricorn Isles and even Destiny Forge that are from the first campaign of Destiny Forge, or Gibbering Mouthers as it was called way back when.
Well, there's a throwback.
That's
Great.
a throwback, yep.
To be fair, I
We're all
forgot what the
long-time
name
fans.
was. Like Gibbering Mouthers. What the hell is that?
Well, see, Rojin, it's a monster that looks like a mound of dirt with many eyes and mouths.
Yes, I know because I've killed many players with it.
Yeah, it's one of the ugliest monsters in D&D, and we decided to name our show after it at the start.
Because we were the ugliest show or the ugliest players?
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah,
how to take
I
that.
don't
Alright.
really know
It-
because I didn't choose the name. I was just told that's what the name of the show was going to be.
It
I'm like, sure.
couldn't have been ugliest players because that was back when none of us used a webcam.
Yeah, we didn't use a webcam until the last probably quarter of the campaign.
Oh,
Yeah, like we were,
dang.
all it was just this little Twitch overlay where we had the map, and we didn't have, we had a section for the roles, and then all of our names and icons were around the outside, and that was it. Like there wasn't even any like indication as to who was talking.
Oh.
And then the decision was made. It's like, hey, maybe since this is supposed to be a live play campaign, maybe we should get cameras going.
It was some
Yeah.
real low budget stuff at the start. It was
I mean,
great.
but back then it was like back in the day when a lot of streams were really low budget.
Yeah, it
was a
was
different
on
time.
par with everything else on Twitch at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 2012, 2013. Everything was like super low effort. There wasn't really like what you see nowadays, like the production value of some streams. This was just like, on par with what like every other D&D stream was doing. And then it got around to
Look
where
at us
people
now.
want to see the reactions of the players when they die.
Which is fair. I as a player
Yeah.
really like that we use cams now because
Mhm.
it
Yes.
I find it aids me in the RP a lot to see the expressions and reactions of the other players as we're having a back and forth.
Agreed.
I like really messing with people when I just sit very still because I zone out listening to what everybody is saying, and that people think my camera's frozen.
Oh gosh, you don't realize someone has crashed and they're just staring at you, and you're like, hello? Hello?
Oh, Rosa, we didn't even have the character art for the screens.
Yeah,
Like that
no.
came later on. Like even our tokens were just art that we grabbed offline. Ichirai, his Azarin's first character, the art was just the Diablo 3 monk.
Ha! That's actually pretty funny. See, the more you know, guys. The more you know. It would all lie as it progressed. Got better. But yeah, now we get to see visually the trauma that Rhojin and everyone else puts us through. It's great.
Yep.
I actually like seeing faces too when I do that. So it's very satisfying. No matter what the energy is. It's great.
I was trying to hide, like, I was literally trying to hide my smile or my smirk during your guys' discussion on Tricorn about how are you going to try to get out of the contract with the devil.
Well, you know,
Said
still the
anything?
plan.
Who said anything about getting out of it? I'm just not gonna do it.
I
But
have no
technically, you
attachment to
don't
that
have
city.
you don't have to do anything to it.
It's true.
I have
It's
no
Jenka
attachment.
who has to do it.
I'm just gonna go to the bar with my buddy and have a good time while the rest of the crew's doing whatever they want to do.
I have no business in town. I'm fine never returning again.
Well, I live there, so
So you're fine.
There are. I would just like to remind you, there are only 3 cities that you know of in this area. Please do not burn one down. Do not
Fine.
burn the central hub of trade down.
It's fine.
yeah, I feel like that would get us some very, very unwanted attention from a certain trading company.
Both sides of that said trading company.
It's fine. It's fine, really. But yeah, that's fun. That was a fun little side lore behind the scenes. I liked that behind the scenes lore. There we go. As yeah, I will probably need help because was going through my notes and had a hard time finding certain characters I was specifically looking for. So I apologize if I butcher a lot of things. However, I do have a small list of some people I'd like to go over. And if there are some recurring characters that I have not caught, definitely chime in, both Rhojin and HBFox. But ones I wanted to jump into and talk about was Null. Null seems to be a recurring character. If I remember, specifically just for the Destiny Forge campaigns. I don't think he's popped up for any other campaign.
Nope.
What is his significance, and why do you choose to keep having him just pop up?
Noel is my cue. He's there. He was there originally to test the campaign 1 group to see if they would first off be strong enough to stand against the Trot, and then afterwards decided to put them through torment by putting them in false worlds and false scenarios over and over and over again, getting them stronger and then preparing them for the agony of what happens if they fail.
Oh my.
But he is a extraplanar being who for some reason or another takes the form of in season 1 he took the form of a specific type of goblin. I forget what they're called. I'm gonna pull up Roll20 because this is important because there's a reason why I used it for him. But
I was gonna say that's my follow-up. What you chose that for?
Because he was originally going to be a main antagonist. Null was going to be one of the big bads of the campaign, but a certain dagger was pulled out of a certain temple and things drastically changed. So okay. I had Null just waiting in the wings, and I was like, you know what, I could use him. He could be a little morally gray ally.
Not everyone else thinks so, from what I understand. I'm like, fuck this guy.
I can't remember what his name or what they're called because I just pulled up Roll20 and I checked a goblin. I'll have to find it. because I know they're not actually goblins. They're a different creature that looks like a goblin, and they are chaos incarnate.
So gremlin. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know I'm not wrong.
Don't make me introduce Mogwai into this game.
I wouldn't put it past you if you did.
You know we'd all try and keep them as pets.
Exactly.
And then feed them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And then somehow tame them.
But yeah, so Null was originally designed to be an antagonist and then was remolded to be a sort of morally gray asset to the group, as much as they hated him, especially Ichirai for what he did to him. You know, Ichirai falling in love with a fabrication, and then that whole situation spilling over into the real world when he realized that the one person that he's felt like before and the child that they had were not real. They were fabrications of a extraplanar being.
You know, I remember you doing that to Ash as well. You just want to mentally torment people like that, huh?
Hey, you knew what you signed up. You know what you signed up for when you got into one of my campaigns. Your characters are going to be put through the emotional ringer. You give me any sort of fodder in those backgrounds, and I'm going to use it.
It's fair. It's fair.
By the way, I'm sorry for what Jenk is going to have to go through.
You know what? I chose that life.
Yeah, you did.
I'm waiting for the mental trauma because I see a lot of just bad things happening.
I read through your background. I'm like, oh, there are just so many grenades for me to use.
Yeah. Yeah. Why choose one when there's so many options that could be more fun? Yeah, exactly. So Null so like you said, he's kind of your cue. So when he appeared into, again, I'd have to find my notes. I'm still unpacking a lot of things, but he was a gnome, I think. He appeared as a gnome in the set campaign. Why a gnome instead of the goblin?
Because of the cast of characters that you had at the time and where you were first introduced to him at, a goblin just randomly showing up may have been a bit more of an ordeal for him to try to convince the group to trust him, while as appearing as a gnome, he was probably only looking to maybe have to fend off Kyo from eating him. So he much
the Null way.
Yeah, he much rather would just deal with one of you than having to deal with the entire group.
Fire Druid? Really? That's a risk he took. I wouldn't want to mess with her. But I'm gonna battle royale. Anyway.
If she shows up.
As if she shows up, that's true. No one's fully decided yet, but it'd still be fun.
I have many wonderful druids to choose from for that.
Yeah, a couple people have chosen who they're going to play, and I love it.
It's going to be interesting. But would you like to elaborate a little bit as to your experience with Null, especially in Campaign 1?
Oh boy, where do I start? Null was a very interesting character when he first popped up, because he seemed to know things that nobody else should have known, and he was able to do things that we as characters, and frankly as players as well, have never seen before. So he was very obviously a unique NPC, and he was also kind of an asshole. So we immediately were like, okay, there's something up with this guy. I've got some questions specifically about Null that I'll save for the question portion of it. But his method of doing things I found quite interesting because there seemed to be some rules to it, and he did allude to certain things that he may have been like capable of doing, but wasn't necessarily permitted to do. And the questions I'll be asking later have to do with that. And then after everything that he put us through as characters, seeing him crop up again in season 2 was admittedly concerning.
PTSD kicked in.
Yeah, more than a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But he seemed also in season 2 to be a little less.
He was more tamed.
Yeah, it's like he wasn't necessarily in a panic to achieve a certain goal.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to actually kind of converse with him, not necessarily as equals, because clearly he's far and above the rest of us in his abilities, but converse with him as people. Whereas in season 1, we were just kind of there being talked at by him. And if we pushed or prodded a little too hard, he was just kind of like, yeah, no, this conversation is over type of thing. And he'd go off and do null bullshit. So I'm really interested to see how, if at all, his presence recurs in either campaign 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it happens to be. Because clearly he's here for the long haul. So seeing what changes he makes to himself and the world around him is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, because to our knowledge, he has not popped up yet in campaign 3.
Yes,
So it'll be
to
interesting
our
to see
knowledge.
his entrance.
He could be anyone or anything. But if he has not introduced himself to us yet.
Exactly. So it'll be very interesting to see what form he takes this time around. Since we all seem to be a little more on edge with certain strangers. Or super friendly and then we just kill them. Or get them killed,
Yeah.
I should say. Get them killed.
Sometimes
womp,
kill
womp.
them.
But sometimes kill them, yeah, that's true too. But yeah, so for another character, granted, I guess calling this character a recurring character is not entirely fair considering how he is a main character in the whole storyline, but we have been given choices to veer off and do some other things, and we continue his storyline, and that is Eugene from Sonata. And we learned fairly quickly in the first little mini one-shot that what he did to the werewolf clan and whatnot and why he was banished. And then we learned a lot more actually in the third installment. We learned a lot more, and now it's kind of come to the point of what is true, what's not, what's actually happening. As again, we for those of you who don't know, behind the scenes we have been given a choice on where we want to take story. Do we want to discover more lore? Do we want to keep pursuing this character? What do we want to do with the story? A little bit of kind of a select quest. And we all seem to be pretty entranced by tracking this guy down, almost like a vendetta of like, this guy is escaping. Where is he going? What does he want? So he's become very intriguing. So tell me a little bit more about Eugene, at least what you can, because of course, for those of you who know, we have not concluded this yet. TBD.
Yeah, so Eugene, he started out as just somebody that I could use as an antagonist in the first Sonata. But as I developed that story a little bit more, I wanted to give him like a proper connection to the area and the residents in it. So he ended up being, as you guys learned in one of the Sonatas, I don't remember which one, he was actually a part of the pack of werewolves that live in Winterclaw Keep, but he
That was the
did,
first one.
This first
We learned
one,
that at
okay,
the end. Yeah.
yeah. He did something bad that got him exiled from the pack and kicked out of the town, like go away, never return type of thing. And he had a vendetta against them for that, which was kind of the trigger for Sonata 1 telling adventurers, oh, there's monsters here, come deal with them type of thing. So he was hoping that, the adventurers, as adventurers do, stick their nose into business that doesn't necessarily involve them, and create a whole lot of problems for the Winterclaw clan. And after that point, I knew that I wanted to keep him around. I knew he was gonna, quote unquote, die at the end of that story, whether it was by the hand of the players or the hand of the werewolves. And that was kind of the trigger for the stories that followed, where he actually was saved by the same patron that saved Durden. And that wasn't revealed until the end of, I think it was Sonata 3? Like the very, very end of it.
The third one. Yeah, the third one.
There was a lot more there to learn, but the urgency of certain things that happened meant we had to kind of skim across that. But we may learn more about it later. And so he continued his quest of doing something related to what got him exiled from the Winterclaw clan. And in the process of that, ended up butting heads with all of you as players. And so he's become this like really pivotal character in the story of what's to come for the continent. Because there's a lot more to him than what everyone has seen, and that was alluded to a little bit in Sonata 3, that he may be kind of like playing both sides of this conflict. So there's some stuff going on. There at the beginning of Sonata 4, I'm going to do a little bit of a scene of something that's happening in the capital city, which you guys are not going to be in. You're going to Winterclaw. And there's some teasers in there that I really hope some people pick up on, but you have to have been paying attention in Sonata 3 in order to pick up on them. It's potentially gonna really open up this story if you catch it.
I may plan on rewatching it before we start Sonata 4. That day again, TBD. But I do remember there was a lot to take in. Subtle as it were, there was still a lot to take in during that whole final scene for the final battle that just really made me, the player, go, the hell is up with this guy? What is he actually doing? Because there was a whole wife and kid situation, but maybe he's the leader of a cult or town or the mayor or something. Just there's a lot of weird things happening.
And I had plans of giving you guys the opportunity to have that laid out for you a little more plainly with the connection that Durden was seeing, where he was seeing all those events through Eugene's eyes, which was enabled by their shared patron. I wasn't really banking on Durden sacrificing himself to save Snowdrop.
I don't think anyone was.
As soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, well, I guess the players are just gonna have to figure out this lore the hard way.
I mean, when you think about it too, is that it did, even that whole scenario with Snowdrop kind of added more questions of, okay, is he using some strange eldritch power that's unbeknownst to us, or is this something else that's aiding him? Because we definitely got the feeling that he's being aided. Outside of just his patron, but it's more of just, okay, what is going on? What weird magic is he using? Plus the whole fight with Gillitam's character, and then everything else, like I said before that. alongside with, dating all the way back to the first Sonata of,
Yeah.
What really happened, because we still don't know what truly happened between the two, because even they're pretty hush-hush about it, saying like, oh, well, it's just pack things. And we're like, well,
Yeah,
it's starting to affect everyone else, so we kind of need to know these pack things.
they're trying to be quite secretive about it for, I think, obvious reasons. You don't want to go around telling people that, hey, we're werewolves,
Of course.
because it's going to attract a lot of very unwanted attention. But yeah, and I think part of that also goes back to, is he playing both sides? Is he not, in regards to Eugene? Because we've seen him use abilities akin to the corrupted entities that you guys have come across, where they're all like inky and slimy and gross and stuff. And he's used abilities like that. But then now suddenly he's also got this patron that we know is like very much against whatever this darkness is. So what's going on there? Maybe you'll learn in Sonata 4, maybe you won't.
The thing is, to my knowledge, we were thinking of having just 4 sonatas before potentially doing a campaign. So there's still there's a very good chance that we won't have this concluded as far as the knowledge until that happens, which for me as the player, I both love and hate, because I'm like, I want to finish this. I want to know what this guy's up to.
Yeah,
there could be a chance he just goes again, and then we're like, well, gotta wait for campaign.
I think my intent now is, once Sonata 4 has concluded, the conclusion of that story, whatever it is going to influence the state of the continent at the start of the campaign. And the campaign is going to be played in chapters similar to how Kiara Phoenix runs her games, where it's going to be one continuous story, but we're going to do it in chunks.
Yes, and I do recall that now, where we could have essentially what we're doing now, but maybe slightly longer episodes instead of just the 4, maybe 7 to 10 for all we know, but have it happen sporadically throughout the year instead of just one season.
Yeah, and it'll be a little less on rails than what the one-shots are.
Of course, yeah, because I don't think you expected it to turn into a longer, I guess, campaign, since you said Eugene was just kind of there as a hook first, or did you play this all along?
Sonata at the very, very start was me going, I want to do a campaign about werewolves. Like, that was start and the end of it. But as I started to develop the story, and once we got into it, it was like, yeah, you know what? I could keep this going. I'm enjoying this. So then it turned into what it's becoming now.
I mean, clearly we are too.
Which is good, because if you weren't, then why am I doing it, right?
Exactly. And it kind of reminds me, and at first, when you first introduced it, I thought we were going to do the whole, kind of similar to Critical Role's one shot of the werewolves, the Song of Lorelei, where we were all werewolves, but it's like, oh my, no, we're digging into werewolf lore, which is pretty fun. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to learn more, and having him kind of pop up continuously in Sonata, it is not concluded. So I know more of the questions I want to ask, I'm not going to get answers to. So I'm just going to wait until after Sonata 4, which, did we decide when, did we say?
I think I was originally talking about November, right?
Yes.
I think. I haven't really conferred with everyone on that, but I could probably still run it in November.
Okay.
If everyone's willing.
Well, yes. We can air out about that. Rhojin, did you want to add on anything to that, or did you want to save it until the questionnaire portion?
I do have questions, but I think all of them are going to be I can't answer them.
Fair.
As somebody who, for the most part, for most of the one shots that we've done, was pretty much playing an unfeeling machine.
Sure.
Forge was honestly just there because Snowball was there in the first one.
Snowdrop.
Snowball. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Snowdrop. Why did I say
She's not a
Snowball?
cat.
Yeah, because of Snowdrop. Snowdrop reactivated him, and he, you know, for in his mind, Snowdrop is now his owner. And until she is confirmed dead or she releases him or whatever, his whole thing is to find Snowdrop, be with Snowdrop, and help Snowdrop. So whatever Snowdrop does, he does. And then unfortunately, he gained emotions. And unfortunately, he gained emotions, and it completely changed him, because now it was less I have to find Snowdrop because Snowdrop is my owner, to I have to find Snowdrop is my friend. And he technically only had two friends. He had Snowdrop and he had he had Snowdrop and he had Durden.
Oh, true. Yes.
And it's like two sides of the opposite, or two opposite sides of the same coin. And because he started getting his emotions when Snowdrop wasn't there, technically the only one he had to learn from was Durden. So he started to become a little more violent and a little more jaded. Angry and broody. So now in his current state of mind, his only goal is now to kill Eugene.
Until Snowdrop regains consciousness, we will see what happens when and if. Guess we'll find out in the next couple months, maybe. Find out.
Truth be told, I never wanted Forge to gain sentience. I did not want him to gain emotion. But the Fae, being the Fae, had to mess with that.
She'll be happy to know you've got emotions. Now she's just gonna get positivity emotions. Like, no, don't be angry. But yeah, that'd be kind of funny. So yeah, so we'll see. Let's see if you can still ask them. I mean, again, worst scenario, he just says, I can't answer that at this time. So you never know. Sometimes it could be a little tidbit could be revealed. Who knows? Yeah, so the last character I want to kind of touch base on, and we've dabbled in him before, but I'll dig a little bit deeper. And of course, Rhojin, if we're not allowed to talk about this, let me know. But of course, the one and only Bimmy, who, to my knowledge, appeared in season 2 only.
Season 2 was Bimmy's,
like, his entrance,
introduction, and then apparently downfall because of the destruction of the original Bimmy, thus ending the lives of all the simulacrum that were around the continents. But
yes, there were many.
Yes, Bimmy was sort of originally started off as just a one town joke character,
just like a shopkeep,
just a shopkeep that was just completely unhinged, who sold the most questionable shit out there. Could be magic, couldn't be. It could, you just bought a rotten apple. He just sold whatever. He was a little unhinged, and it just started slowly but surely evolving from there. I'm like, I could turn this into a conglomerate. And then it just started speedballing down there. And then when the whole idea of having the information as to where this vault is, I just kind of pieced it all together and just it's like, okay, this is going to be a Bimmy collective. And as the players know at the moment, there is only one Bimmy currently active right now, and that is in Tales from the Wildlands 2, because he is a automated Bimmy. He is a robot. So he was not terminated when the rest of the simulacrum were sort of dispelled after the death of the progenitor.
That is correct. Yeah.
I will say though, there are Bimington supplies out there, and some of your characters are currently in possession of some. Not gonna say who.
Ash
Not gonna
and
say.
Geo, I think, has quite an abundance and tickles.
Campaign 3, Tricorn
Isles.
Our
characters.
Yeah. Like current campaigns, you have Bimington items in your possession.
I wouldn't be surprised if that possum vault is just full of Bimmy items.
Oh, in Tricorn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like it would. Especially when they say, we don't know what they are. We just know that they could be magicals, so we just throw them in there. It's like, Bimmy's magic was always questionable.
And if you remember, the vault exploded.
Yes.
And it rocketed things out all over the place. So
yeah. That's very true. And so you did mention, you could make something out of it. Why Bimmy specifically? Was it just because you wanted to continue the shenanigans and make it something kind of this dark reveal later? Or was it just kind of a fun character to just have more of a background?
He was just fun. I loved seeing everyone's reaction when they got into a town, and like some of you, the first thing you did was you checked to see if there was some sort of Bimington Emporium in the town, and you kind of gauged the danger of you staying there based off of that.
Not wrong. I mean, when you remember, technically this was not Bimmy's fault. This was definitely Tickle's fault. Finding a Bimington Emporium and him shooting 1,000 bolts into the air that just basically turned her into Swiss cheese while she was still life-linked to HBFox's character.
To Zale, yeah.
Died.
Yep.
Thank God, though, we were trying to regrow your arm in like a cleric at a temple.
Was in a hospital getting treated for an existing issue. When that happened, poor Zale. No wonder she left the group.
But thankfully, it was a moment where the clerics were probably like, "Oh shit, we've lost her," and brought you back, which brought Tickle. But at the same time, It was like, this could have been really bad.
If it wasn't for Zale being in those being in the care of the clerics at that time, they would have both been dead.
They basically pulled a cleric like, clear, bring her back.
It's like you're regrowing an arm and all of a sudden your patient just erupts into like thousands of bullet wounds and you don't know why.
Like something went wonky. Someone lost their concentration somewhere. I bet they're still scratching their heads like, how the hell did that happen? What did we do wrong? We grow limbs all the time.
That's now a case study that's shared across the entire continent.
They're looking to recreate the magical effect of inflict bullet wounds.
They're just wondering what caused it so they can eventually get a Nobel Prize for it. Come on, that's funny. I stand by what I said.
I'm not apologizing.
I'm not apologizing for that. So with, I almost said no because I said no. With Bimmy, kind of progressing into this bigger character, why did you choose? No, Rosa, the door is not over there. I stay. You do it.
Zoro can't leave. Yeah.
I'm in control. Now derailed. The progression of his character. Why did you choose him being a? Oh God, I forgot the technical term. The undead beholder.
So the beholder itself, the Elder Eye, wasn't necessarily who Bimmy was. That was just like a Wizard of Oz thing. That's what he sort of showed everybody who discovered the location of the vault, because seeing a giant elder beholder is going to be more of an intimidation than a gnome.
Oh, we pooped ourselves when we found out. I know I did. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Yep. And then it comes to find out that it was just a mechanical amalgamation that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And he himself was a collector and a multiplanar collector and merchant. And he sold some things that were questionable in safety at best.
Mm-hmm.
But as these things are questionable and they can explode in your face, instead of putting himself in danger, he just made those simulacra. And the more he made, the more unhinged they go.
As we clearly witnessed. I think there was one sane one the entire time, and it was his
Yep.
cousin, Jimmy. She was the only sane one.
Yep.
To our knowledge. But I have noticed a common theme, at least between the two characters we talked about today, about being interplanar. Is there a specific reason why you like choosing recurring characters that are interplanar? Is it makes it easier for them to kind of make sense timeline-wise, why they would be in certain places at different times?
It's mostly because the world as everyone is in at the moment for Destiny Forged, there are very few and far between gods at the moment. A lot of them have either been banished or they have lost their power. And now that in campaign 3, it's 60 years after the continuance, they're slowly but surely starting to come back, but they've found that they have a bit of an anchor to them. So to introduce characters that had such an abundance of power and a little bit of omniscience, it was either make them extra planar beings or make them devils and demons. And players traditionally are more likely to work with an extra planar being than a devil or demon.
Why not a celestial? Why not go on the other side of the spectrum?
Because celestials are just celestials are pretty much for the most part gone. The heavens were eradicated, but on the other side of that, celestials are just as bad as demons and devils.
Oh, 100%. They're just,
and most people aren't going to trust them either.
assholes.
So it's like I needed to get some sort of being out there who could at least garner some sort of trust from the group in order to be able to assist them or sell them questionable goods.
That's fair. You're not wrong, especially when you have characters that are very much against demons or have been wronged by celestials or whatever the case. It definitely makes more sense to have more of a neutral party than
and
one extreme or the other.
It's pretty much common knowledge in the world that Destiny Forge has been set in, that you don't trust celestials, you don't trust demons, you don't trust devils, and the Fae are always out to screw you.
Very true. I mean, we're in that current situation right now with
that extreme paranoia it has led to a lot of instances to where the world could have been helped, but because the person asking for said help was one of those entities that the people of the world look at with extremes, it kind of sullied the pot. They couldn't really do anything.
Well, especially right now, we have perfect examples of the two extremes where we've got Tricorn dealing with devils, and you can tell that there's a good chunk of us, if not all of us, that are just like, oh, hell no. While we have really shady shit happening in Destiny Forge 3 with Celestials and people pretending to be Celestials and whatnot, and it's just adding a lot more chaos on top of that. So it's kind of interesting that we're two different campaigns experiencing two different things on this side of the spectrum. So interplanar kind of sounds all right now. So yeah.
And if you look at it, a lot of the deities and entities that a lot of like your characters worship are either some sort of extra planar deity or it's some sort of ascended elemental.
Makes sense.
Like, and I specifically like that because I didn't want to bring in the the entirety of the Forgotten Realms pantheon. I
That's
wanted
fair.
to separate the already established pantheon in core D&D, since this was a homebrew, and having the grace of the first campaign eradicating the heavens sort of set the way that we can just slowly but surely introduce new deities as it comes along.
Give us the freedom to kind of shape them ourselves instead of sticking
Mhm.
to what the traditional lore is, which is good because it gives us the freedom to do that. Although I have liked the small amount of dabbling with current ones, like Fox's favorite that we're dealing with in Destiny Forge 3. But it's still fun because we're still playing off it and still having fun with the personality instead of like, no, it has to be this. Why?
Yeah.
And that's because Lathander is my favorite. I love Lathander.
And I think for the most part, the existing deities that we have brought in from Forgotten Realms has been deities that are either neutral on the spectrum of good and bad, or deities that, if they are good or bad, they're kind of like apathetic to the other deities that are good or bad. So we haven't really brought in any that are like hardline extremes.
Right.
And I enjoy that as well, because those neutral and apathetic ones give you a lot more room to play with who they are and what their worshippers do.
Yeah. So it's exciting to see some of the new ones and kind of learn about them, because as of course players with brand new deities, we have no idea if they're deceiving us or they actually are good, or actually are bad. So it's kind of fun with playing with the whole, what is this deity like, and kind of go from there. So like the one I gave Rhojin is technically a made-up god. Like in the Forgotten Realms, it was like mentioned. It was like a sentence mentioned. So technically have no idea what the hell this god is, and I'm like, it's fun. Let's play with this. Here's technically a made-up god. Let's have fun with this.
Yeah, and I will say that the state that the world is in, with very few gods out there, like true gods, the powers and everything that people are pulling their own magical abilities and whatnot from their worship may not be who they think they are. You may be in the worship of something that's wearing a mask. So it could be like, oh, I'm praying to this entity, when you are actually just venerating a creature who has ascended and is trying to gain more power and influence to be able to fill one of those deity-like slots later on.
Oh, like the wannabe Lathander speaker right now.
Oh, that I can't wait for that for everyone to discover what the hell's going on with that one.
Yeah.
That one.
I feel like we're not ready to go to the city yet for that shit. I feel like it's higher level shit, but
go to the city. Do it. No, but like, I will say, in all of the campaigns that you are currently you've either played in or are currently playing in, there's only about 3 actual deities who have lent assistance to players. Everything else has been a lie.
One of them I can name. Actually, I can't. I forgot. I keep wanting to say Koatoa. I think it's Koatoa.
Coatiel. Coatiel is
yes.
is an actual deity.
Yes.
They are an ascended archfey who has garnered enough followers and power to be able to become a god of the seas.
Yeah. We like her. She's nice. She's done enough to let us know that she's a good goddess.
Yeah.
So
we haven't, learned her full history, so maybe there's a lot of dark stuff lurking under the surface. We don't know, but
there always is.
They were a fae.
That's true.
They were a fae.
Yeah, so it's not wrong. So it'll be interesting to find that out. So it probably more likely through Tricorn, since we'll have more of a reason to know more about her or learn more about her. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so it is getting close to that hour mark. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take a quick little 5-minute break to kind of get up, stretch, replenish our drinks, as we're going to spend the next 30 minutes when we get back asking some questions. So if anyone has any questions in chat, we'll definitely ask. And it doesn't have to be about the 3 characters we discussed. It could be about any NPC, really. We're definitely not going to limit you guys to specifically reoccurring NPCs, just any NPC maybe that you have a question about. As well as us, like I mentioned, asking as well. So sit tight, guys. We will see you in just a few minutes. And we are back. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Probably a good thing if I unmute myself.
That probably would help, especially when we start asking you questions and we think you're trolling us as your lips move but no sound comes out. Like, fine, all right, you keep your secrets.
I
Kind of
will.
situation. Okay, perfect. So, if you have any questions, please answer them or ask them in chat. Old Hydra is best my food cat god.
No.
I think it's just a water elemental entity of destruction.
I mean, canonically, lore-wise, All Hydra is I think it's called an Arcanomorph, which is like one of the rulers of the elemental planes.
I believe
It's
that.
a Super Saiyan elemental.
Yeah.
Super
Like
Saiyan elemental.
I am the water elemental plane.
Oh, like, okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
Alright, fine. So, yes, Fox, you said you had a question about Null.
I do. So as we've heard, obviously, we've seen and heard of Null plenty over the years. And one thing that they consistently say is that they are not allowed to get involved in the affairs of mortals, beyond certain extenuating circumstances, obviously. Is that like a trait of whatever type of creature they are, or do they like answer to someone or something that is of even higher power than they are?
I will say that it is a rule. I won't say as to why it is a rule or who made the rules, because you may run into other beings such as Null in the future. But yeah, Null and entities like Null can interact with the physical plane. They can interact with mortals. They can help guide them along the path, but they cannot interfere in such a way that it changes the course of history. The whole reason why he wasn't able to just show up, use his omnipotent magic against the Fae Queen, Thanos snap her out of reality or whatever to stop the reset from happening, as it's happened multiple times now. So instead, he decided to finally not sit on the sidelines and started to guide the crew in campaign 2 towards the right answers. Mainly because he was tired of being reset and having to watch the same thing over and over again, because it's like binge watching a Netflix show you've seen for 800 times. You just get tired of it. He was
depends on the show.
He was more than ready for the loops to stop ending.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and from what we've kind of experienced as well, that him and or his kind are capable of finding people and kind of being like, hey, maybe this is the road that you want to go down, but they aren't necessarily capable of going down that road themselves. Exactly. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They could they could lead the horse to water, but they can't drink it themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
If that makes sense at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So on or rather in the same vein of questioning, we've seen Null crop up in several campaigns. In campaign 1, Null had someone, I believe they called this other person their family. I don't think they necessarily said brother or sister or whatever. And we knew them as the Collector. And we had thought for a moment, or at least I had thought for a moment, that Bimmy was this Collector when we came across him in season 2. Turned out not to be the case. But we did see that there was another entity very much like Null called the Collector in season 1. Is that entity still around? I know there was a period of time where we had kind of captured them, and Cassius did a little bit of off-screen torture. But that entity wasn't killed. We weren't capable of killing them or anything. That was just kind of payback for the shit that they did. Are they still around? Are they still keeping an eye on things?
The Collector is most definitely still around. So the Collector at times tends to have more of a backseat to things, as to where Null gets frustrated at humanoids making stupid decisions and has to make sure that they get back onto the right path.
Yeah, from what I remember, it was many years ago, so my memory's getting holes in it. But from what I remember, the Collector was a lot more callous towards mortals than what Null was. A lot less caring about what they did.
Yep. Even though they annoy him to a great extent, there's a bit of sort of like a somebody looking after a pet. Just that sense of responsibility that Null has towards those on the material plane.
Yeah, I could see that. So knowing that there is others out there like Null, since we know the Collector is out there, and knowing that Null was trapped in this repeating story with the rest of us, what does that make the Librarian? If the Librarian's abilities are so profound that it can trap a creature like Null in a repeating story, albeit not necessarily the intent of the librarian. But what is the librarian? Is it
He's
That was one of my
related to
questions.
these Null creatures in any way, or is
That's
it
what I was
something
gonna ask.
completely
he
separate?
Yeah.
the librarian themselves is the first living entity in this plane of existence. He was there when everything started, and he started recording everything, started recording the histories. As he started recording history, he started creating history. And at a certain point in time, after the clash of the world dragons and the old ones, he began to have less of a hand in the creation of the world and made it more of a choose your own adventure, pretty much giving the entities that became the humanoids the ability to make their own decisions and forge their own path. And he would sit there and record the actions of every individual. But in a sense, yes, he created Null and the others.
Good to know.
That's crazy.
I'm still curious about what abilities and traits those little Knoll pups have inherited from
Creator God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know how I feel about this.
Just gonna have to bring them into a campaign at one time, and I can tell you.
So, yeah. It's okay. I've got things in the works for a Knoll way out too. That's gonna advance that story a little bit.
Are we gonna graduate from pups to slightly less fuck up
You'll
pups?
be a little bit older, yeah.
Yay! 3 months later. We are a little older. I'm actually very excited about that.
So I do have one question about Eugene. Because it sounded like there were a bit of like quote unquote backroom deals made between him and the Shadow, and him and whatever this entity that Durden and him worshipped. Is there? You probably can't even say this. Is there any chance that this is steps to either awaken one of the sleeping elders, or to create a new one using Eugene and his soul as sort of like the catalyst?
It's a great question.
It's something I think I can elaborate on this a little bit, because bits and pieces of the bigger picture have been talked about throughout the sonatas. Eugene himself is a player in this much larger game of what's going on. The undiscovered part of his story relates very, very much to the Shadow and why he's connected to it. And what happened to him at the end of Sonata 1 is how his connection to that shared patron with Durden came about. And that patron and the Shadow are actually siblings, in a sense. One thing that has been revealed in the story is that the Shadow and their sibling are trapped in this part of the world. They were sent there during the war between the Forgotten Gods and the World Dragons to try to help quell this conflict. And they were sent there from Celestials, because, you know, Celestials and their hubris, they think they can fix everything. And a lot of bad shit happened to these two that were sent there, which resulted in them getting trapped. And so they've been trapped there for thousands and thousands of years. And one of them has become so angry and so jaded and so frustrated with this scenario that it has turned into the shadow over the years. And so Eugene now has a connection to both of these creatures that are trapped below the world or in an adjacent plane, whatever it happens to be. And now you guys as players are starting to see that kind of seep into the surface of the world. So he definitely plays a role in creatures that are adjacent to those that were around during the time of the Forgotten Gods and the World Dragons, but isn't connected directly to the Forgotten Gods or the World Dragons.
So sort of like a side entity.
Kind of, yeah. They're creatures that didn't necessarily have a role to play in that conflict, but were there at the time of the conflict. So they are just as old and just, well, maybe not just as powerful. Obviously, they got trapped, so they couldn't cut it, but of significant power.
Gotcha.
Be interesting to unravel, since I've really only gotten bits and pieces as players, but more of that lore I don't think has been revealed to us, like the war.
Yeah, and that full story I had planned of being revealed to Durden, but unexpected things happen. So
if that's fair,
you guys only got bits and pieces of it instead.
So
I guess we'll accept it.
Rosa did bring up a good reminder.
No.
Oh, I had some questions. Don't worry. Well,
So,
one question anyway.
Rosa did say for our podcast listeners, just remember, Ro and Fox, you have Mass Effect Horizons 2 dissect with Zorro, as we do have a sci-fi show on this channel.
So I do have a question.
Okay.
Regarding a certain 8-year-old.
Okay.
We sort of jokingly mentioned that Mercy will grow up to be the pretty much shepherd in the universe as time progresses. With that being said, is there going to be any point in time that we meet her biological parents?
I'm not gonna lie, I have thought about it. It's kind of me dissecting several different avenues I want to play with and settling on one. I still, of course, because for those of you who may or may not remember, when you start Mass Effect 1, you actually choose a orphan. So that could very well still be Mercy. And it's kind of funny because at this point, I remember my whole timeline and everything. I think technically Shepard's like 6, realistically. So a couple years difference. Mercy could, funny enough, be Shepard. Mainly because of some of the stuff that has happened to her. Just coincidentally coincides with some of the lore or history you choose of Shepard. Which made it funny that we joke about saying, like, she's probably Shepard. And not off by much for the age. So I have toyed with the idea. Again, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it just if I do. Since again, Orphanage was an actual ground, so we'll see. It's a work in progress. I'll tell you that right now. If I do it, it is a work in progress. So we'll see.
This reminds me, I also have to like start up the Mercy playthrough in Mass Effect again.
There you go. Have you posted screenshots in our Discord?
I posted a screenshot of her. I need to refind it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I played that on. Did I play that on on Steam? Was it on Steam that I played it on? Oh no, it may have been.
I think it was before the remaster release.
No, it was it was remaster.
Oh what? Okay.
I will see if I still have Mercy's picture.
So
Okay.
on the topic of Mercy, one of the two questions that I've got about Mass Effect is actually related to her in a very direct sense. And if you don't want to reveal the information, just say so. But we know that Brockus has adopted her. Like quite some time ago, he did that. How did that come about? What was her story, her life that led her to the point of being adopted by a Krogan, of all things? Like where is she from? What happened to her? We don't really know.
It's technically a two-part answer. One from me, one from Rhojin, since Rhojin was actually the one that told me about that. So it was something I made up. It was already like part of his backstory and everything. Knowing Brockus's background, he was not a typical Krogan, as we all know. He's not all gung-ho about battle. I mean, he is, but he's not typical Krogan where he's just like, rah, rage and go into battle. You know, he's more tactical about it. Much more on par with, like, Rex thinking. Without revealing too much, because of his backstory, it made it a little easier, strangely enough, for a Krogan like Brockus to kind of befriend other races, especially Mercy, who, when you think about it, even something as simple as watching a horror movie, children are really scared of, you know, evil entities, at least not at first. They're very trusting. Especially if the person is kind to them at first. So having this strange creature for a human girl that only just recently got introduced to other races at that time, saw this creature she's never seen before and was kind of in awe and was like, okay, you're here to help me. You've shown that you're helping me. I trust you. And kind of has gone on from there because of the child mentality of, oh, you're my friend. You have shown me no reason to not trust you.
Big friendly turtle, right?
Exactly. So, Rhojin, I don't know if you wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so where he met Mercy is pretty much how he's met a lot of the kids that he's raised in the past. He's made mention before that throughout his life, he's raised about 50 children. And most if not all of them, save for Zara, Zara and the other two, her two sisters, they've all been orphans of battle in some way, shape, or form. And with Mercy, he had discovered her on a craft that had come under the attack of some pirates, one of which Brockus was hunting. And going onto the ship, he and his mate at the time they went through there, cleared everything out, and as they were leaving, they found this kid. And Brockus, being Brockus, couldn't leave technically what would be a wounded kitten, you know, out in danger. So he brought her onto the ship and was just, okay, you're my kid now. And they started, you know, building a familiar bond.
So how many years has he had Mercy?
He hasn't had her for that many years. He's maybe had her
at least 3 or 4, since it's been roughly 3 or 4 years since the first contact war that humans even learned of their predator races.
Yeah.
So half her life, if not a little less.
Yeah, kid that age probably feels like an eternity.
Yeah. And I want to roll back a bit. It wasn't Brockus and his mate. It was just Brockus at that time.
It was just Brockus.
By the time he saved Mercy, she was already dead.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which I also don't know about.
he collects orphans of battle like people collect Pokemon cards.
But she still treats them, you know, with care. He just doesn't sell them later for money.
Exactly.
he puts them all in a nice sleeve and organizes them in a box.
Wait a minute.
I mean, when
The
when
Borg?
Mercy grows up, she's gonna be a little ass kicker because Brockus trains every one of his kids in the styles of Krogan combat with both firearms and close quarters.
Which is why the way she is, when he protects the ship, he's still going to be like, no, you can't really come with me. This is too dangerous, but I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself.
Here's a gun, shoot him in the face.
And she's got the advantage as well now of being part of a pretty diverse crew. So in addition to all the Krogan stuff, she's learning stuff from other humans. She's learning stuff from Turians, Solarians, etc.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how the little story develops. And to be honest, me as the DM, I am constantly thinking about that as well as the story progresses and what happens to her on her story kind of advances as well. So it's very fun.
Yeah, and in a sense, for like characters like that, you have that opportunity to really think about those aspects of her story and where they're going. Because where we are in the timeline, those of us that are playing adult characters, assuming we survive this campaign, we kind of know what's going to happen to our stories because of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Like, if Vera survives, I mean, we all know that the Turians were called back to the moon of Palaven to help defend it, so chances are pretty good that her story's going to end there. But someone like Mercy, I mean, she's young enough now that, you know, she can make it through the events of those 3 games and still have like a whole life ahead of her. So her story is like really open-ended.
Because she would be 30 or 31 by the time the events Mass Effect 1 happens, which again was about Shepard, because I think Shepard was like about that. Yeah, it was like early 30s, maybe late 20s, but so yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah, Shepard's 29 in Mass Effect 1.
There we go. Yeah. So so I was right. She's only like a couple years older.
Yep.
Yay for remembering it. Fox, you said you had another?
I do, but again, I don't know if you can elaborate.
Okay.
Because I will just take every opportunity that I can to hoard the information of this man's backstory so I can use it against him at some point.
Gee, I wonder who.
Arleo.
Mm-hmm.
We know he has a pretty significant presence on the name of that place that I just had in my mind and can no longer think of.
Oh, starts with an O. Oh my god, I just blanked as well.
You know the one that we were on. That place.
Thank you. No one.
He has a pretty significant presence there. Omega, that's it.
Thank you. God, it came to me. Jesus. Okay.
Surely between the 3 of us, we can remember the name of a significant place in the Mass Effect universe.
I jumped to Google and was typing in Mass Effect Pirate Planet.
And we've gotten bits and pieces, or at least I've tried to get bits and pieces of his story prior to his arrival on Omega. Does he have a history on Palaven, or was he born elsewhere?
If you mean history as far as was he born on Palaven? Yes.
Okay, so follow-up question.
Okay.
And I promise I won't use any of this information in character until we learn it in character.
That's fine. I know you guys are responsible.
Since
Don't snicker, Gillitam. Don't snicker. Gillitam's visiting me, sorry.
Since all Turians born on Palaven take part in military service in some way, whether it's like a civilian branch or there's soldiers or even like sanitation workers and stuff are all part of the military on Palaven. was he part of the military, or was he taken from or chose to leave Palavin before he came to the age where he would have been conscripted into that service?
You don't know.
It's fair. I figured that one was a long shot of getting answered, but I was curious.
Not gonna lie, I
I
contemplated
figured I
giving
had
that to
ask.
you, but it kind of makes it fun for when things are discovered. So
Oh, I'm gonna keep digging into this guy until I get the
please
answers
do.
I'm after.
please do, because I don't know if I've mentioned this before in the past. He was just a one-off character. He was just a quest giver. And you guys grew so attached to him that I was like, you know what? I'm growing attached to him. I'm gonna have a full-blown, fleshed-out backstory. He's got a full history and everything. So I've got that fleshed out like he was one of my own characters. So I've got it all settled for you. He was just a one-off to help you on Omega and then leave, and you probably would never hear from him again. And it's just kind of been fun how, kind of like Bimmy, just
Like
kind of
Bimmy.
developed to be this more in-depth character, and I just had way more fun playing him and seeing your guys' interest in this strange character that really was not supposed to be that important, and I was like, he's gonna be now.
Yeah, and I think if I wasn't playing a Turian, I wouldn't have really given him a second look.
Fair.
But Vera being who she is, you know, we come across this Turian in this pirate paradise who, like, stands in direct opposition of everything that she feels like the Turians stand for. Like, she just immediately got fixated on this guy. It's like, I gotta figure out what he's hiding, where he's from, you know, what family has he brought shame upon by leaving and doing what he's doing now. And of course, it doesn't help that he's also really attractive. So, you know.
I need to draw him. I know exactly what he looks like. I just need to actually draw him because he's quite a handsome Turian.
Yeah,
For
so
his age, but he's very
it's
handsome.
she's fixated on, and I can talk about this because she revealed this when she got drunk with the other girls, that
Oh yeah.
she finds him very attractive, and
Mhm.
like to the point where it really bothers her how attractive she thinks he is. So it's
Stupid smooth talker.
exactly. She hates him, but she can't stop staring at him, type of thing.
It doesn't help that you have Athelia and Mel always egging her on too. Like, you should talk
That
to
too.
him.
Yeah.
Call him right now.
Yep.
Yeah, Rosa, exactly. I want to know where he sleeps, what brand of toothpaste he uses, what he hides under his bed now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you had a
Bottle
chance
Turian
to
Brandy.
you had the chance to go into his nest and you didn't do it.
You did.
That's your own fault.
You did. That could have been
Well,
infiltration, as it were.
I feel like if she had taken that offer, she would have been too distracted to actually look at the stuff around.
That's fair. But it would have been interesting for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I was leaning in when he did invite you, and I was like, what's she gonna do? Because I love teasing you a little bit with him. It's not necessarily on purpose, it's just funny because of your reaction, and he's just like, I'm gonna poke the bear more.
Well, it's fun playing a character like that as well, that is so rigid in their personality, and then have somebody like that comes along and frankly quite easily creates cracks in that rigid personality.
You have this, you know, prim and proper military officer, and all of a sudden they get stupid, sexy Flanders.
Exactly. Yep. I think I have that gif around here somewhere of stupid sexy Flanders that I slapped the Turian head on.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this segment of Behold Lore, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be coming back on the first Saturday, of course, every month, as the next Saturday is going to be November 4th, where topic is still in question. However, we have a guest.
I will not be there. That is Extra Life Game Day.
Okay, we may adjust slightly because I love having both my lore masters there. Otherwise, what's the point? So, Okay, TBD on when. So yes, the date, the topic, and the guest is to be determined. But we are gonna have a guest. We have a couple of ideas of who we're bringing on. We just have to make sure it works with the schedule, of course. So just keep an eye out on that. But of course, this is not the only show we have on this channel. We have several shows, and we're continuously growing. I'm just waiting for the Legend of, I almost said Korra, the Avatar campaign, maybe.
We just need a day to run it. We just need a day to run it. Is all we need.
Harry, there's just
I have
not
the
enough
I
hours
have
in the
the
day.
I have the books right up there. Right there. I just have a feeling that when we do that, it's going to be the most brutal and bloody like Avatar game out there.
I mean, why
It's
not?
like
Have we all seen Legend of Korra? They can get pretty dark. There's a lot of backstabbing.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Is it's like I have a feeling that people are going to tune in thinking, oh, it's going to be Avatar, and you're going to be knocking people out with like bending, and all of a sudden, the first thing somebody does is they're going to like make a an air version of the of Krillin's Kienzan and just throw it and decapitate someone.
Yeah, that ain't no cartoon. Yep.
or just summon two side like rocks on both sides of somebody and have an iron made in them. I mean, it's just gonna be one of those bloody
we saw Tomb Raider, the remake, where if you don't hit that prompt, she gets crushed by a rock. Shit happens in real life. Why not an Avatar?
Yeah, but I was gonna say Tomb Raider isn't Avatar. I
I'm
mean,
just
granted,
saying.
granted, in Korra, people did get killed, and they were very brutal. They were very brutal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like if Avatar was made for HBO instead of Nickelodeon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, here's Avatar, but for some reason everybody's just gonna destroy one. I have a feeling that like it's definitely gonna have to be run sort of like a Blades in the Dark setup, to where it isn't you're not necessarily traveling all over the place. You're gonna be like set up to like one location.
Yeah.
And I haven't decided yet if anyone in the crew is going to be the Avatar, or if we are going to just have it be something else.
Nothing wrong with an NPC being an Avatar, so people don't feel power hungry or make them believe maybe
I don't know.
are, but have someone else completely.
I don't know, because I kind of like the aspect of somebody actually being an Avatar, and because then it's like it's focusing around the new team Avatar.
True. That is true.
But then whoever's the Avatar is going to have to prepare for the most mental trauma, because I am going to pick on you a lot.
Of course. Who has the guts to deal with the mental monstrosities that Rhojin flings their way? We'll have to see. So let's see if we get a show of that in the near future.
I mean, I you know what? I would be willing to run it like Chimera Collective, since it's since Avatar is always separated into books. We could sort of do it that way. That way we could set it up for like a small stint, and then take a break until the next time it comes around and everything like that. So that may be something we can do, and it may be something
we can play at that point then, because if unfortunately I would not be able to play otherwise, but if it did that, maybe.
Yeah, because I really like the setup as to what we have for Chimera Collective. It wasn't, it's not this long running, multi-year running campaign. They're set up into episodes, and I think that would be the best way to run an Avatar campaign. So I think I'll do that.
That could be fun.
And then look for 5 people.
See, Kiara has already paved the way of how to run mini campaigns / one shots that aren't truly one shot, and have it be a continuous story in small segments throughout a year. I like that. it could be a lot of fun. So heads up on that. But our actual shows.
I will be spamming all of you now in order to
Good.
set this up.
Good. I look forward to it. Bender, here I come.
I feel like half of us want to be waterbenders.
You guys are
my
weird.
Favorite element. Water's
you guys are
my favorite
weird.
element.
Like earth bending all the way.
No. I don't want to. But yes, I got stuck. Sorry, that was just fun to talk about. We do have several shows and growing on this channel, as I have to remember, because we did rearrange some shows. Every Monday now we have Destiny Forged. Yes. Season 3. Okay, good. By Rhojinquest, one of our longest running shows. Tuesday, alternating Tuesday, or I should say every other Tuesday, because it's our only show on there right now, is Toter, which is our Star Wars 5e, Tales of the Outer Rim, run by Tiltbot. Then we have our Thursday alternating shows, which is Tricorn Isles, run by Rhojinquest, which is our Seafaring campaign. And then the alternate Thursdays is running Mass Effect Horizons, which is a Mass Effect 5e campaign. And then, of course, we have our shows that weren't affected by this at all, which is our 2 alternate Saturday games, which is Wayward Wanderers, which is a Pathfinder 2 Extinction Curse campaign run by Azrin. And the alternate Saturday, Rhojin once again running us through Withered Wastes, which is a post-apocalyptic type game. And again, we have some... It is that time of year. I think we're going to attempt a Christmas and Halloween one-shot. We'll get the details soon. Then we have Sonata coming up potentially in November. I think that's it for now, as far as like some shows and one-shots coming up. But definitely join us in all of our socials. We do have a Twitter, we do have our Discord if you need any announcements or see any news that are upcoming about that. That way you all kind of stay in the loop. Otherwise, we do like to tell you guys repeatedly on shows. That way, if you aren't part of that or not as active online, at least you know through our shows. Keep you guys in the loop because we love you guys. And we love the show. So, yes. So next on Monday, this upcoming Monday, we'll see you all here for Destiny Forged.
You're not gonna want to miss this one.
I'm going to.
Oh shit, I forgot.
Because I'm working every single show except Mass Effect.
You'll be back.
I got left out on that.
You'll be back the next week, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
I will.
Because
I'm just mad.
There is something important waiting for Kemek in those mountains.
Son of a bitch. Not to mention Saturday, Papa returns.
Oh, by the way, no, we won't be having a Saturday
Yeah.
show because we have 2 people out. We have you, and Kiara is now on baby vacation. So we are not going to have enough people, which is something I am going to talk to the 2 of you offline about potentially getting another cast member. That way if somebody is out or 2 people are out, we still have 4 people. 6 seems to be the magic number. So let's
Yeah, 100%. Because even if 1 or 2 people down, you still have at least 4 people to work with. Well, if you start off with 5, 1 or 2 people down, 3 people, yeah.
And that's what I said. That's what I said. Is as long as we have 4 people, I'll still run.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, that is it, guys. We'll see you on Monday with some more Destiny Forged. Until then, we'll see you sometime next month, to be determined, for our next segment of Lore. Until then, we'll see you guys later.